welcome to the Film and TV channel. We've got a biggie today. Yes, we've got a $200 million budget film, and it's called Eternals, of course, from Marvel. PG-13 certificate, 157 minutes. Unbelievable effort time. Over 2.5 hours. All right, take the credits off. You might knock 10 or 15 minutes off, but hey, we'll talk about that later. You know, my views on these long films that, you know, just because they cost a lot of money doesn't mean they have to be long. You know, it can be you can do a far better job in shorter time and not have loads of filler in it. But anyway, we'll get on to that. It's a fantasy adventure superhero film, of course, based on the Marvel comics of the same name. Yeah, the race of the same name. Produced by Marvel Studios, distributed by Mr. Walt Disney Studios, of course. And this is the 26th film. You could do with the alphabet, couldn't we? 26th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Could have gone to A to Z, couldn't we? Or A to Z if you're in America. Film is directed by Chloe Zhao, who wrote the screenplay with Patrick Burley, Ryan Firpo, and Kaz Firpo. And it stars, yes, a big cast. Gemma Chan, Richard Madden, Kumail Nanjiani, Leah McHugh, Brian Tyree Henry, Lauren Ridloff, Barry Keoghan, Don Lee, Harish Patel, Kit Harington, Salma Hayek, and Angelina Jolie, of course, the lovely Angelina Jolie. I did like her in this. In the film, the Eternals are an immortal alien race, aren't they all? Who emerge from hiding after thousands of years to protect Earth from their ancient counterparts, the Deviants. A bit more to it than that, but I'll be ruining it if I tell you now, won't I? These scores and comments are all as at 8 p.m. on the 16th of November 2021. Rotten Tomatoes, the first critic site we'll look at, not overly impressed with this one. An approval rating of just 47%, that's quite low. An average rating of 5.6 out of 10, not great, a bit below that magical 6 I like to see. But we had 346 reviews, and 163 of those were fresh, but 183, the majority, were rotten. Wendy Ide from The Observer, she was rotten on this film. She said, for all the effort that's gone into ensuring representation in the casting, the storytelling with its forced flashbacks and synthetic sentiment lets the whole thing down. So Wendy didn't like it. But another young lady, Sarah Michelle Fetters, she's a freshie on this one. She's from moviefreak.com. Eternal shoots for the stars, and if the finished feature isn't quite out of this world, it's still close enough to getting there that my interest in seeing where these characters go next is exceedingly high. Okay, I wasn't as enamoured as Sarah Michelle Fetters, to be honest with you. The consensus of the website, the Rotten Tomatoes, they put all their heads together and they come up with a sort of paragraph. An ambitious superhero epic it is that soars as often as it strains, possibly. Eternals takes the MCU in intriguing and occasionally confounding new directions. So, yeah, we'll get onto the word mixed in a minute. It's obviously used as part of another critic site, isn't it? But Rotten Tomatoes, staying with Rotten Tomatoes just for now. The audience, say, Joe Public, the guys who've been and watched this, 4.1 out of 5. So that equates to 8.2 out of 10. So that's not bad, is it? That's critics nil, audience 1 as far as this film's concerned. Metacritic, the other critic site we'll look at. Again, not great. 52 out of 100. That's not great. Based on 62 critics' reviews on Metacritic, so it's no mean number either. And that 62 is that famous word I said in a minute. 20 were positive. 37 were mixed. Yes, and I'm afraid I'm a bit mixed on this as well. And just 5 negative, though, so not a total disaster. Total Films' Neil Smith enjoyed it, though. He gave it 80 out of 100. He said, Klaus Zhao gives the MCU just the kick in the pants it needs at this phase in its evolution. But The Guardian, back to The Guardian. Steve Rose from The Guardian only give it 44 out of 100. He was the lowest score, I think. He says, it's not exactly boring, okay? There's always something new to behold, but nor is it particularly exciting, and it lacks a breezy wit of Marvel's best movies. Yeah, there's not a lot of humour in this, to be honest with you. One of the strengths of the MCU to date is how it's taken time to define each character individually and lay out the grand narratives over successive movies, building a sense of momentum. Here, it's all thrown us at once. Yeah, I mean, they are a motley bunch that we don't know a lot about, and we don't get to know a lot about a lot of them during this film. In 2.5 hours, I would have liked to have learned a little bit more about them, but there you go. But again, the audience like it a little bit more. So the actual Metacritic audience, they give it 6.6 out of 10. So not as high as Rotten Tomatoes, but still a healthy score. And we go on to the audience, don't we? We go on to Internet Movie Database. I don't believe a word they say on this. I've knocked out about, how many have I knocked out? About 25,000 reviews that have either give it a 1 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. There's a lot of 10 out of 10s as well. No, I'm not having it. I'm not having that. So, but overall, there was 91,203 reviews and scores left on Internet Movie Database. And the average, 6.9 out of 10. So not bad, just under 7. But again, the audience seem to like this, don't they? As opposed to it's critics nil, audience 2 by the looks of it at the moment. But yeah, that's 91,000. As I said, I've ignored all the 10 out of 10s. No way. I've ignored all the 1 out of 10s. No way. It's not that bad. 55,457 scores were scores between 6 and 9 out of 10. So that's a healthy 83% because there's only 11,459 scored it between 2 and 5. So 83% positivity there, which is in line, isn't it, with what we saw on Rotten Tomatoes before. As I said, I did ignore 16,000 plus 10 out of 10s and us just under 8,000 1 out of 10s. So there's obviously a lot going on with that. But you know my thoughts on that if you watch these reviews. Right, my little thoughts. Yeah, I put the first word I've used here, a mix of characters, and I will say it's sort of a mix up for me, this film. A mix of characters, some I could invest in. For instance, Cersei, Makari, and Thena. I could invest in all those characters. But the guy I couldn't invest in is the main guy, if you like, is Icarus, of course, played by Richard Madden. I just don't like Richard Madden in this role. He just left me cold, in all fairness, lacking any real charisma or presence for me. And if you like, as the big lead, which he is in this, I just think he lacks something. I think he let the whole thing down. I know he's playing down his role and trying to be, let's say, aloof for some of it, but I just didn't enjoy his role, the way he played the film. My apologies if you do like him, but I just thought Richard Madden was quite a weak link in this film, to be honest with you. And seeing as he's one of the, he is the main guy, if you like, it's a little bit of a bit disappointing. But there is plenty else to go at. There's obviously the majority of the film was a little uninspiring overall. This is it. I mean, 2.5 hours. I mean, some of the favourite elements for me were in the last 20 minutes of the film. There was little things in it. I'm not a big action, as you know me. I like a good story. And to be honest with you, the story's dragged out a little bit. And, when it's all the verbal stuff, it just gets a little bit, someone said before, a little bit boring. It does border on being a little bit boring for me. And I say all the good stuff's near the end, but it takes so long to get there. The battle fight scenes are excellent. I mean, they're very, very good. You can hardly see the joy in which you can with Marvel films sometimes. To be honest with you, they do look a bit as comic-y in a real life film. But there you go. But yeah, I thought they were okay. The battle scenes. I said the last sort of real face-off at the end. I really did enjoy it. But I've said it before. I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it. Just because it's a lot of money, you don't have to put out a 2.5 hour, I mean, sometimes 3 hour film. You don't have to do that because it has to be something epic to fill that sort of length of time. If this had been a total of 2 hours aligned for 10 or 15 minutes of credits, it would have been a far tighter. You could have got rid of some of the rubbish, to be honest with you, which is in this, some of the boring stuff which is in this, unfortunately. And you would have got a tighter, better film because there is some good elements in this film, but it just goes on too long and too monotonous, some of it. I mean, a younger audience, for instance, I think this is squarely aimed at older watchers because a younger audience will be sort of reaching for the smartphones while they're waiting for the next battle scene because they don't want to listen to all the waffle that's going on, all the verbal that's going on. Because, as I said, there's a lot of verbal. You don't get to know much about the characters. It's sort of inane. It's not even humorous. It's not even funny. So it never really puts much meat on the bones of the characters, etc. So I don't know, because at the end of the day, if you look at, I always look at the Wikipedia synopsis of these films, and some of them go on for a long time. Some of them are very wordy, but this one isn't, because it's quite. It's not the most complicated of stories. You don't have to talk about it for an hour and a half of a 2.5 hour film talking about things. It's just not that complicated, and yet it sort of plays out though it is. But as I said, it does appear popular with the audience, and for all what it is, that's all that matters in the end, isn't it? But for me, it was just okay. I'm just a bit sick and tired of people like Marvel just spending, putting so much screen time on there and not filling it with information and stuff that's useful, and just a lot of filler for me, and they don't need to do it. I would have been far happy with a 1 3/4 hour film of this thing, and I would have scored it far higher. I think, I wouldn't have had a downer on it just because he spent $200 million on it. Don't mean you have to do 2.5, 3 hours all the time. But as I say, most of the audience love this. Obviously, there's an 80% positivity on the Internet Movie Database. So who am I to quibble? It's just a little bee in my bonnet. I get over these sort of things. But there you go. But I am going to score it a watchable 6 out of 10, and it could have easily been a 7.5 out of 10 if I said they'd got rid of some of the filler in this and sort of made it a far tighter, more enjoyable film for the family as well. Not just to say, because I do find a lot of this will be over kids' heads. Even teenagers will be struggling to keep an interest at times in this one. But there you go, 6 out of 10. Let me know what you think. There's a lot of people been to see this, or if you're going to see this, let me know what you think. As I say, it's just not one of the worst MCUs. Put it that way. It's one of the better ones. So that's a positive, isn't it, in itself? But I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Let me know what you think. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. What are we going to do the rest of the day? Have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your families. More importantly, let's all look after each other till we meet here again on the Film and TV channel, or perhaps have a look at my Citizen channel, my channel on my football team, Manchester City. We'll meet on there or back on here, please. If you're not interested in football, that's no problem. Back on here, it'd be great. And all I ask till next time is please stay safe, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me. See you all again. Bye for now.